Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Money decisions don't have to be either or. With Bank of America, they can be yes and. Like yes to sunny vacations and rainy day funds. Can our digital tools and guidance help you create the future you want? Yes. And help you keep enjoying today, too. Do more with a bank that asks, what would you like the power to do? Explore our tips and more at bankofamerica.com/yes and.
The holiday season officially starts when you get that first card in the mail. Shutterfly makes it easy to add more meaning to the everyday with hundreds of holiday card designs that can be personalized in seconds with your favorite photos from this year. Select your greeting, customize the color, and even add little extras like personalized foil to make a holiday card that really shines. Enjoy 40% off with code SMILE40 at Shutterfly.com and send something meaningful this year. See site for more details.
Maybe Strictly used up all the glitter. Welcome to It's All Cobblers To Me.
Rain again, and he's got it!
Gavin was closing in. Oh, Gavin has scored!
Abdul Osman against Brad Jones to put Liverpool out of the cup, and Northampton 3! Yeah!
Hello Cobblers fans, I'm Charles Commins and this is the podcast for Northampton Town fans. This week the Cobblers earned their second draw in League One in a row as they came away from Blackpool with a goalless draw. Plus, NTFC women beat that blue lot from down the road to go top of the league. I've got Danny Brothers and Neil Edgerton with me and all of us are rather happy and thankfully now warm.
I'm not quite warm yet, Charles.
Are you not?
No.
Do you now understand how I felt yesterday, Danny, at Blackpool game?
To be honest, I think our concern, Charles, was the way you were rubbing your hands.
What do you mean the way I was rubbing my hands? Look, anybody that doesn't know, I got caught by these two on the old telebox.
It wasn't just us, Charles. Everyone's
No, I know. It was the other people, but you're here.
Yeah, even my mum messaged me about it.
And I was just trying to keep my hands warm. I was just rubbing my hands. I wasn't doing...
It was erotic, Charles.
Bit of Vic Reeves going on.
It was erotic rubbing.
No, there was no,
to be honest,
hands on
the
thighs.
best part of the game.
To be fair, you're probably not wrong.
I would have enjoyed a Charles Hands cam.
Oh, blimey. Have you not got that already?
No, I don't have the privileges you have.
I think the poor commentator that was on this game would have enjoyed that a lot more than the game. He would have. He was losing the will to live, wasn't he?
There was times where I thought he might just switch off and walk out. He was getting that. He was trying to describe it, bless him, and at one point he was like, it's fair to say there's not a lot of quality on show today, but we've got to forgive him, there's a lot of injuries.
At least he recognised that fact.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot worse. I mean, look, I think this shows the different way that you view a match when you're watching on the telly to how you see it in the stadium. Now, I'm not going to turn around here and say that it was an amazing game or anything like that, but I wasn't bored.
I should hope not, Charles.
Yeah, I wasn't bored. I did think to myself...
You looked bored on telly.
I think at that moment was possibly one of the times when one of their players had gone down injured or Jack Sowerby had gone down injured. It was rather... boring when there was no actual action taking place. Wasn't much better when there was, obviously, admittedly, but it was okay. It was fine, but
it's always better in person, isn't it? It's always better when you're there.
I was going to say, I do think a game always does feel better no matter what when you're there, right?
Yeah.
Plus, Charles, you're at the seaside. You'd ridden a donkey. You got some candy floss.
I did. Stick a rock.
Yeah.
Did you go on the amusements, Charles?
I didn't amuse myself at all.
Oh, that's not what we saw.
I thought that's what you were warming your hands up for.
No. Lovely. Look,
Strictly, come Charles.
I'm sure there's more of this to come, but before we actually let them carry on, let me tell you about the All Cobblers To Me Patreon. For £5 a month, we offer you every episode free of the adverts, bonus episodes of the show, and a community for all you Cobblers fans to hang out in as well, which is mostly where I get ribbed. Thank you to our latest...
Oh dear.
Yes. Thank you to our latest member, Sandra Green, who joined us this week. You too can sign up by going to patreon.com/cobblers to me. Oh, Blackpool 0, Cobblers 0. What is there to say about that match, Danny?
Nothing. I want to get into the second half of the pod, Charles. So, not a lot, was there? But having said that, good battling draw, and I thought I'll take a draw any day away from home. I think League One, most places. So at the end of the day, I was just a bit like, yeah, injuries, another one down, another one bites the dust. But then we could have won it, I think, but so could have Blackpool. Low on quality, but high on battling, and that's all you can really say. That was, I thought it was positive all round. Come away from Blackpool, I think they're in a bit of a slightly false position, not completely, based on some of their injuries and stuff. But happy with the point.
I think. It felt like, to me, it was two teams quite clearly struggling to field their best players. And it was obviously one of those that I agree with you, Danny. I think either side could have won it. There were chances for both sides. I don't think there was a clear-cut chance for Blackpool other than maybe the save that Lee Burge makes at the end. Whereas the Cobblers, I don't think there was one at all that was clear-cut. There were lots of maybe half chances. There were lots. Let's talk like John Brady would. There was lots of good third entry, top third entries or whatever it is. Final third entries. There you go. But there wasn't much bite to either side's bark, I don't think.
True. Sammy Hoskins had a shot early on, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He was saved. I thought I was going in top corner. Fox had a header, I think. I remember.
I'd describe it, Charles, as either team could have won it, but neither team deserved to win it.
Yeah, I think so.
There was a bit of huff and puff from both sides.
Yeah.
But injuries, obviously, we like to moan about bleating on about injuries, but it is obviously going to impact the team and the quality of play. I think you've got to take a good point away from home. Seaside, cold. Was it cold, Charles?
It was cold, wasn't it?
The way you were rubbing.
Yeah.
Cam McGean suspended for that one as well, wasn't he? So he was an added extra that we didn't really need.
Yeah, obviously Salby's dislocated his knee, which isn't ideal.
See, this is the thing. I do think that I think that the injury to Sowerby and then Blackpool's captain went down to have a head injury assessment as well.
He kept bleeding throughout the game.
Yeah, not long after Sowerby had to go off. And I do think that those two injuries really, the game wasn't particularly free-flowing anyway, but it really did stunt any flow to the game. It was almost like the game was maybe just starting to become a good watch, and then Sowerby got injured and was down for quite a long time. The paramedics had to deal with him. It looked horribly painful, if I'm being honest, being right there. The way that he went down was so nasty because you could kind of tell. I mean, it's fairly cliched, I guess, isn't it, to sort of say, it's bad when there's no contact and it's just something that's happened, off the ball almost. But I mean, Jack's clearly gone to sort of maybe turn and he's twisted his knee, which is what's caused the dislocation. Studs catching in the ground, maybe. But I do think that coupled with the fact that then their captain goes down, having hurt his head, and then their striker, their number 9 as well, should never have come back on for the second half. By the way,
no,
that was the most
Joseph,
just
Carl Joseph,
ridiculous.
Well, they've done the old thing, haven't they? Give it a minute, see how you feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty obvious. It looked like he wanted to come off the first time, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I mean, I wonder whether that's a case of Bruce sort of turning around to him a bit like what John Brady's done with, Sam Hoskins last week, where he's basically asked him to play against medical advice, essentially. I wonder whether Bruce has sort of said, look, can you just try? Because otherwise we're going to have to bring this young lad on, who actually I thought did quite well.
It looks
when
good
he came on.
Bondo.
So yeah, it was. I just felt that the game never really was allowed to get going because of those few situations that we had, and it's a shame, really. I quite enjoy going to Blackpool. We've had some horrible defeats there over the years, but last year's 2-1 win was a great night, and I really did think that we were going to be able to get something out of this. And I mean, a draw is not a bad result away from home, especially on the back of, our current plight in terms of injuries. You've got to sort of look at it in that way, right? I know we've...
Well, you have to, Charles.
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. If you can't win the game, don't lose it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is spot on.
So 46 points has been enough to stay up in the last few years, I think. Barring maybe one.
It's early. It's early for saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Right? Come on,
so that works out, if my GCSE maths is correct, a point a game, which we're 2 points ahead at the minute. So all good.
Hey.
All
Draw
good.
every game.
Keep
Job
drawing.
done.
Keep on drawing, as 5 would
Draw
say.
FC.
Draw FC, yeah.
That's what we could be. It is hard to try and get anything out of this game, I think, to talk about, if I'm being honest, just because of the fact that there wasn't that much action.
We've literally made no notes on the running order for this game.
Yeah.
Can I pick
points.
someone out, Charles?
Yes, of course you can.
Sorry, Neil, do you want to go?
Well, I think you're going to pick out the same person, so you go.
I'm going to pick out William Hondermark, Neil. So
we weren't. We were not. No, carry on.
So he's taken a lot of flack from a lot of quarters, including this one, over the last few weeks. I thought he was excellent when he came on.
He was.
It was really good. One of his better games for us, I thought.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
So I thought Odemeo was excellent.
Yeah, Odemeo was good. Yeah.
Motion pass, Danny. By the way. Well
Thank you. That's killed a minute. What was your
yeah. I've got another one.
Yes.
I thought John Guthrie.
Oh,
fantastic!
Was back to his old self. That little stint up front against Kettering, I think it's given him a new lease of life.
Rejuvenated him, you may say.
He was. The commentator was gushing over him at times.
Oh,
lucky John.
Gushing over Guthrie.
Yeah. But he was incredible, and also I think a shout out to Ioma as well. I thought he was excellent. Especially that. I mean, I know it's the standout defensive moment, probably where Fosu cocked it up basically, and he had to. Ioma had to save his ass, but I thought he was, considering he's, as John Brady would like to put it, he was on the sofa a couple of weeks ago. I thought he's looked very assured. I actually thought the whole defensive line was very good. Player I'd like to pick out, though, is Nesta Guinness-Walker.
Again.
He is our best left back, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only left back that we've actually got available, but it's handy that he is the best of the bunch, I think.
If they were all fit, I would still want him starting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he's been incredible.
Get him signed on.
I think they've all done a really good job. I mean, obviously, I don't want to say too much about maybe Waghorn just yet.
Oh, I do, Charles. Come on, Waggers is getting fitter and fitter by the day.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not.
Come on, no. Waggers is my stand-in for Eves while he's out. Give Waggers this couple of weeks break when we've got the FA Cup. He'll come back and he's going to be on fire.
Provided you keep him away from the pick and mix.
You don't want to deny Waggers a pick and mix.
Maybe needs that little bit of sugar.
Yeah, I think he does.
There's a limit, Waggers, all right? There's a limit. Big
fan of Waggers. He almost scored straight away, didn't he?
He did, didn't he?
He did. He had a chance. He definitely had a chance.
I think you're right, Danny. He does look more lively as time's going on.
Yeah.
I think that the only thing that I was going to say was that I wanted to give him more time. I wasn't going to be turning around and singing his praises just yet, but I'm also not going to turn around and do the opposite to him either. He whereas I think Ioma has maybe hit the ground running a little bit quicker than old Waggo. But Waggo. So that's what I want. I want John Brady to call him Waggo.
Oh,
Waggo.
Oh, bloody Waggo.
Who was it? Was it a Watto, wasn't it? Watto before.
Watto.
Yeah, Watto.
Yeah, exactly. We need our new Australian name. I like it.
Terry Bondo, by the way, came off Blackpool. That's the most Australian name ever.
Yeah.
I don't think he's Australian, but that's a great Aussie name.
No. Bondo.
Oh, Bondo.
From Bondi Beach.
Can I raise a negative?
Oh,
You can. Yes, certainly.
I bless him. I don't. I mean, I'm going to pick him out, obviously. So I don't want to pick players out. But Sammy Shoeshane.
Oh, should never take a corner again.
He should never take a corner again for starters. Yeah, it's criminal that you keep hitting the first man. Secondly, I think at the moment he's probably having to play more than we'd like, I guess. But I do also think that the game is too fast for him at the minute. I think it looks like he wants too much time a lot of the time, which means it looks like he's having a really poor game. And he didn't have a great game, and he was relatively poor. He did some good stuff as well, but I think he looks like he looks to me like someone that has come from playing under 21s or under 23s football, whatever age it is, into the hustle and bustle of League One real football, if that makes sense, and he's struggling to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I know we shouldn't, but if we can just go back to like Mark Leonard in his first season with the Cobblers, it was around about this time of the year in his first season that he wasn't in the team.
Yeah,
he wasn't. I don't want to say he wasn't ready or anything like that, but he wasn't the player that he then went on to become, right?
Yeah,
and yeah, I think you're right. I think he probably is playing a bit more than John Brady would necessarily want him to be playing at the moment because of the fact that we've got all of these injuries to contend with. Yeah. I would, if it wasn't for Souby's latest injury now, or Souby being another one of these injuries, then if McGeehan had been available, then I think that Shoeshane might not have played, and we'd have had McGeehan in the 10 as per, and then it would have been Souby and Fox, Shoeshane on the bench. So it's one of those, isn't it, that there's a necessity at the moment for him to have to play. You are right, and I think I don't think we're. It is being critical of him, but at the same time, it's just saying what we're seeing. That there's not meant to be, or there is certainly no kind of,
It's also understandable. So that's the point. That transition from not youth football, but essentially
it is
youth football. Yeah. There's I know it's still competitive. It is not the same as full on men's football league, professional football. You do have more time at that under 21, under 23 level. I mean, look how most of the under 21 teams in the Vroom Vroom Vars struggle, don't they? Generally, so that transition is hard. I think that's the point. It's standing out a little bit at the moment.
There's also that fact that in the Premier League, you get more time on the ball as well. Maybe that's you can argue that that's down to the fact that players have better ability. Their first touch is better, so therefore they get it under control quicker. They can then move the ball around better and quicker before the press actually takes place. And Shoeshane is coming from a Premier League club's academy. They are trying to produce these players for their first team or for them to be good enough for them to sell on, right? That's the business model of that Premier League academy. It's no different to our academy. We are looking to do exactly the same. But the fact is that they're being bred, if you like, to go into a Premier League environment and play in those Premier League games. So if you ever do watch, Premier League 2, or, when we see these under 21 sides coming into the Vroom Vroom Vars against us, then what happens is that you see it, that they are quite skillful. But if you really pressurize them, then they they tend to not be able to cope with that pressure, and they'll give the ball away, or they'll end up just going backwards, and therefore not really doing anything that threatens. And Shushain is exactly there. He's doing that. There was a moment in the first half, I think it was. No, it might have been in the second half, where Shushain kind of had it in the middle of the pitch, turned and ended up going back, and then got the ball robbed off of him. And there was a counter attack, and thankfully it didn't lead to anything. But it was one of those. It seems to be a case that he's got that in him at least once every game. And he's just going to have to be maybe grow up a bit quicker than maybe
that's it.
He wants to, or he's ready to. But he's going to have to, and I'm sure it's something that's being worked on by the coaching staff in training, is to sort of show him and go, look, you didn't have the time to do this. You've taken too many touches, and you've then put it in the wrong place, and you've been crowded out. So you need to find your pass quicker.
Your point about Mark Leonard was really good, actually, on the basis that if you think what he became excellent at was just keeping the ball ticking over.
Yes.
So he learnt very quickly that he doesn't have as much time. It was like he's probably going through that same process, and that Shushain is going through at the minute, where, like you said, he has got caught on the ball a few times, because he thinks he has that time and he's got that little bit more time to process it and think about what to do with it and stuff. Whereas Leonard really quickly learned, I don't have that, essentially, and I need to be decisive with what I'm doing with it, even if it just goes back to the person that gave it to me to start with. So hopefully he'll get it. And it's like, he's obviously a decent footballer and there's a good footballer in there. I just think he looks a little bit lost at the minute.
Yeah, that's fair. Right, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about a couple of other talking points that have come from, well, that game. Maybe not from on the pitch, though. Back in a minute.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Welcome back to It's All Cobblers To Me. The Cobblers earned themselves a credible 0-0 draw away at Blackpool. It was a pretty tedious pitch, though. Pretty tedious game. And
Dave,
we've struggled so far to really talk much about what's happened in the game. I want to kind of move to post-match, if that's okay, guys. John Brady's interview immediately after the game, obviously didn't really want to talk about the injuries too much, and he did really big up, the players that we already have sort of mentioned really in the first part of the episode. Quite right to do that, talking about the likes of Ioma and Waghorn, who were, as John likes to say, both sat on their sofa a couple of weeks ago, and now they've come in and they're starting to do a really good job for us. But I don't know whether it was because Tim Oglethorpe was pressing him to talk about the context, but all of a sudden, John just seemed to have a little bit of a dig at fans who have maybe been not looking at the full context of the situation. I know we've talked about it a lot and the injury situation, and it is something that it's there, right? And we've talked about how we feel it's quite frustrating to constantly be told it in every post-match interview. I think John really was trying not to talk about it, and then almost maybe just lost his lost his ability to say anything else. I mean, do you think it's fair, Danny? Do you think we've been fair, first of all, on the pod, the way that especially maybe after the Kettering game, where we've talked about the games and we've kind of ignored the context of the injury situation a bit?
Yeah, and I think this comes in two parts for me. The first bit is the Kettering game was such a trigger for a lot of us, and I still think that's fair, because the frustration that we felt, the annoyance that we felt that the injuries were being talked about after the Kettering game, when we'd put out a first 11 that should be winning that game, and it was all about the effort, the commitment, and we didn't feel like we were sent out there wanting to win an FA Cup game, and that's where most of my, if not all of my frustration came from, is that we've lost out the chance of going through in the FA Cup and we've been embarrassed in front of the national TV. That's where the frustration from that game comes. And I think that almost needs to sit on its own, in its own little corner of frustration, because that to me is a separate context to what you're talking about in League One. Like League One, I can understand a lot more if we're in a league program and the injuries are hitting, and fair enough. And we've done so well to go and get a point from Birmingham and even a point from Blackpool with the situation as it is, and the players have done amazingly well. And John's completely right there. They've put in so much effort. They're playing out of position sometimes. We haven't got a number 9, all this kind of stuff, and we've been bringing players in that haven't played any football. And I sometimes think it's seen as one whole thing. But my frustration personally, and this might not be others' opinions, is the Kettering game on its own. That's the one that really got me and thought, you shouldn't be using injuries in your post-match interview after Kettering. As well as Kettering did, as well as they played. Don't want to pat them on the head and say you're just a little younger brother to us, like some people would, Charles. And in the league, I'm more understanding of it. You still don't want to hear it all the time, but as it's got worse and worse, obviously it is an issue. It becomes an issue. We've got to do, in this period of time, do what we can to get over it. But I still think we're actually putting decent 11s out there. Like, it's not like it's a disaster. And that is a positive for the recruitment team, for what John does, for how he motivates his players for League One. The issue for me was just the motivation in the FA Cup. And that's where my criticism came in from that. And obviously that's done now. We can't do anything about that. Now we're back to the league.
We're out, Danny.
We are. Still in the vroom vroom. Yeah. And that to me is two completely different things. And I think that needs to be separated sometimes from some of the frustration from the fans. And if John's talking about fans getting annoyed after Kettering, then, I still think that's fair for us to be annoyed at that.
I did wonder, Neil, whether John was, maybe his frustration was coming from, there does seem to be some people who are constantly questioning the training methods and the medical side of the staffing at the club. And, I know that you've got into a bit of a conversation with somebody on Twitter on Sunday over the fact that you can't, whether you actually know what you're talking about unless you've played at the level.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would question if I know what I'm talking about, Charles, which is fair. The argument, and I don't know if John feels that way. It feels to me like he does. Like, knowing how he talks and what he says and how he talks about it, it feels to me like he is probably one of those that, this could be entirely wrong, by the way, but it just feels to me like he is probably one of those that is, you ain't got a clue, you've never played at any sort of level, you don't know what you're talking about. Maybe he doesn't, but it feels to me. But so essentially, I don't like that argument, for starters. And I will throw a few names out there of successful football managers who never played the game. Arrigo Sacchi, one of the greatest Italian football managers of all time. He was a shoe salesman.
I love that. He should have managed the Cobblers.
Should have. Yeah, I don't know if he's alive, actually. I was about to say there's still time, but I'm not sure if he's alive or not. And there's others as well. Like the point being, you don't have to have played League One football or a level of League One football to understand football tactics, football motivation, and how the game works. Okay, that is bullshit. You also, as a football manager, which John Brady is, have to accept you're going to get criticism. I, I, I don't like bleating about it. I haven't heard the post-match interview. I only know about it because you guys mentioned it on WhatsApp. But I believe he mentioned something about social media.
He said he finished his interview by just simply stopping himself by saying, "Oh, just don't look at social media."
Right.
You know,
but you're going to get that, especially in this modern world. Like, you're in a position where people are going to have an opinion of you. People are going to, rightly or wrongly, some people are going to think one thing, another thing. Some people will be in the middle, etc., etc. Just don't comment on it. Like, easy to say, I know, because it must be frustrating. Of course, we'd all probably be the same, but just don't get involved in it. Don't comment on it. Stick on your own track. The injury thing, the questioning training methods and all that sort of stuff and that, I think it's fair to ask the question, but none of us are going to know.
No.
We're not privy to training. None of us are going to know. A lot of the injuries, I think, are relatively freak. Like, take Sowerby as an example.
Yeah.
No contact, just how his foot was and his knee twisted. Eves, a clash. It's not like, that's not to do with training.
No.
It's more, I think, if you look, Sowerby's relatively injury prone. Like, you can't hide from that. He's an injury prone player. He is prone to injuries. That is not necessarily a training fault. That is, he was injury prone when we signed him, right?
The physicality thing, right?
Just him. Some people are more prone. Some people are more prone to injuries. I read a thread on the hotel end, which, by the way, is quite frankly ridiculous. It was about a load of people saying, "Oh, I'm 60. I go walking 3 times a day. I do 6 miles. I haven't dislocated my knee," or along those lines. Some nonsense like that, right?
I really hope that's exactly what was said.
It was
that's
something
brilliant.
like that. I zoned out when I was like, this is ridiculous, because there is more stress. Nelly, there's more stress on your body as a professional athlete than Dave and Buster from down the road going for a 5-mile jog. Do you know what I mean?
Up into Tesco.
Like, there is more stress on a professional athlete's body. That's the whole point. They're twisting, they're turning, they're doing things in different ways.
Can I make a point on this, which is that I'm a runner, and I know well.
Hold on, Charles. You're also a wet runner.
I am I got very wet on my run today. Yeah, halfway through, the heavens opened. I looked like a soggy dog when I got home. I was very, very drenched. But I know. So, for example, for me, that I know that I can suffer from something which is called piriformis syndrome, which is basically a nerve that is in your glute, in your bum, which sits either on top or just underneath your sciatic nerve. And basically what can happen is that the muscles around it can get a bit tight and can press down on the piriformis, which then causes you to have a bit of a dull ache going down your leg. Sort of in the
key
back of your leg.
takeaway, Charles has got a tight butt.
Yes, but only my right side. Yes, I know.
It's like an episode of Casualty today. This is I'm learning a lot.
My point here is that I know how to control it. I know what I need to do, to make sure that I don't suffer too much from it, and that is essentially doing the right stretches after exercise. But also on top of that, the other thing that I should do a lot more of is I should do a lot more strength training. And so I just don't really do it that much. And I know I should, but it is one of those things, fitting it in around everything else in my life is just difficult. My point here is
you could be doing it now, Charles.
I could be doing it now instead of talking to you two. Yeah.
While talking.
While talking.
Yeah.
I'd just be squatting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daddy is.
I'm squatting right now.
He's doing his Pilates while he records. But the query that I have, I guess, is that are those players that are more susceptible to injury, are they doing the right things in order to try and make sure that they're not succumbing to injury? Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing, because and obviously I would love to just say, of course they are. But I know that I don't do it. And so
it's not your job, Charles.
No, I know it's not my job. And I completely understand that. And that's where I'm coming from in terms of going, I'm not suggesting that they aren't. But I can understand why people turn around and say, well, are the training methods correct? Or are they? Because there's going to be a sense of individualism to each player because they're going to need different things.
I don't think it's that. I genuinely don't think it's that in depth. I genuinely think sign an injury-prone player. Don't be surprised when he is then injured.
Yeah, okay.
I think a little bit of context as well, that it isn't just us that it's happening to. I've spoken to people on the preview show for quite a few weeks now where they've been like, oh, injury here, injury there, injury ever. There's never anyone, like even like Man City, who have got a squad of about 50,000 and cost about 200 million each player. They've got an injury crisis, apparently, including Rodri, Charles. I'm surprised you haven't jumped in yet.
You leave Rodri alone.
Like it seems to have been a thing in the last 3 or 4 years where just injuries are up in general. So, surely, like, you've got to think that the right medical staff and the right medical procedures and advice is happening at the club. It's just like Neil says, some players are more injury prone than others, and this is why we've been able to pick them up sometimes. And you just take that risk, don't you? And I think players in general are more injury prone now than they were a few years ago.
That's the point. So, and by the way, it's not just limited to football.
Yeah,
it's pretty much across all contact sports or team sports. Like I like to talk about it, but the NFL as an example, there's a lot more injuries these days, and there's a lot more ACLs, MCLs, which obviously are really tough ones and season ending. But there's a lot of little tweaks here or there and stuff. And same as in rugby, I was talking to someone earlier on Sunday about. I mean, I have no idea what I was talking about, if I'm honest. But I was talking about rugby, and they were making the point there's a lot of injuries, and I think that can be answered probably with as simple as the more games you play and the more action there is, the more injuries there's going to be.
Yeah. Do you know what I love seeing on social media is people saying things like, in my day, we'd have just bandaged ourselves up and got on with it, or something like that.
We're going to put some glue on the leg and glued the bones together, and away we go.
I mean, there's an element, isn't there, of, we don't have to go back that far, I don't think, to the point where, you might hear of, we've spoken to plenty of ex-pros, haven't we, where they have said that, I was taking injections or whatever to get me through that period of time, or, whatever it was that they were doing to make sure that they were still getting out on the pitch every Saturday.
We don't have to go back far at all, Charles.
No, you don't.
Play with a broken leg.
Yeah,
what a guy!
But I mean, the game has moved on, right? It's a different game to what it was 10, 15, 20, plus years ago. It's a lot quicker. The players are a lot more fit now in terms of their, I suppose, in terms of their athleticism, they are a lot fitter. And so, therefore, I guess these kind of injuries are just more par for the course.
Yeah, and I think it's right to say as well that we've stocked up the squad a lot better this season to deal with that.
Yeah,
that's probably something we should credit them for as well.
Yeah.
Is that the starting 11s that we're putting out, even in the room and stuff, are decent looking 11s still. It's not like it's a complete disaster. We're having to draft in youth teamers yet. Like I look at the first team that we could have put out last season. If this kind of level of injury happens, it would have been an absolute nightmare, wouldn't it? So,
I actually think that the two of the ones they brought in. So Nesta Guinness Walker, we've already said about best left back we've got. Yep. I actually think Ioma's better than Baldwin. So.
I mean, quickly, is Ioma a right back or a centre back?
He's either. He's whatever you want him to be.
He can play both.
Yeah,
because it was all it was that I had it in my mind that he was more of a right back, and then when he was the player that was playing, partnering Guthers, I was like, "Oh, this will be interesting to see how this goes." And yes, there was a little bit of element of match rustiness, if you like, to his play. But I mean, he recovered very well on a couple of occasions. He was great and had a tremendous game. And John Brady, rightly, I think, went over to him and gave him a big arm round the shoulder and a pat on the chest. One of the first players that he went to sort of say, "Good game, well done. You've done really well there today." And I think it, as much as what you're saying, Danny, about giving credit for the fact that we've got more starting players, more first team players this year, I think there's also an element of the fact that we've got the right players that have come in terms of their mentality and the way that they are, built in that teamwork ethic. They all, on Saturday, it was very, very clear how much they were fighting, for each other. And they were, not once did any of their heads go down, like when Jack Sowerby went off. There was a real togetherness about the team and about this squad. And I think that that's a credit to the recruitment of this squad as well, because it was Keith Curle, wasn't it, that used to talk about getting the right type of player in terms of their, personality.
He did speak.
Said a lot.
He said a lot without saying much. Keith.
He did. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, I think it's done. It's been really well done in the players that we've brought in. There's, there are no. I don't think there's even the likes of Roberts and Fosu, who could be, and I think you'd be forgiven for thinking that, they're going to come in with quite a big ego. I'm much better than you, kind of.
Their own entourage or
right?
something.
Yeah. And yet, whether or not that they, I'm sure that there probably is a bit of an element of arrogance about it. But, I mean, they are kind of rightly arrogant in terms of that they know that they've got quality, but it's not going over the line where they are outcasting themselves from the squad. They are part of the team, and you could see it in the warm-up at half-time. It was hilarious because Fosu got nutmegged twice in this little drill that they were doing, where it was basically on...
was it a rondo, Charles?
It was. I don't know what it's called, mate, but he was in the middle and the rest of them were all passing it around, right?
A rondo. It's a rondo. Yeah. They're doing a rondo.
All right, thanks.
Let's sing the rondo. Fosu.
But yeah, I think Waggo nutmegged him once, and somebody else did as well. And there was no,
Waggo.
It was just really, you could see the camaraderie between them all. It was great. There was no even a hint of how dare you do that to me. Like you might think that a player with any kind of ego would maybe be like. And I thought that was really good to see. And okay, he came on Fosu and nearly cost us the game at one point, but I think that's because he's trying his hardest to basically make stuff happen for us. Maybe does need to be a little bit less selfish at times and pass the ball. He doesn't need to take it around two players and then go back to try and take them on again. He could just at that point pass the ball or cross it or something maybe. But yeah, you wanted to come
Charles,
in, Neil.
Yeah, I just wanted to give some credit to John Brady, which will be a surprise to many, I'm sure. Because everything you just said, John Brady does deserve some credit for as well. I'm probably one of his biggest critics, and I'll continue to be because someone needs to be and hold him accountable. Nobody else does. But he does deserve some credit, I think, for getting a competitive team out onto the pitch, as silly as that sounds, which is still organised.
Yes. Yeah.
So I actually think at times this is when Brady is at his best, when it is a bit of a siege mentality and we've got to dig in as such, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's almost and this is going to sound not like a compliment, but it is almost, it takes away the thinking for him. So and he just does what he's good at.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if there is a bit of a thing of where we've not really seen John Brady just have a full squad at any point during his reign, have we? He's always had certain players that he's not been able to use because they've had an injury or there's been a suspension or something. And so, or at least he's not had that for any good length of time.
No.
And so, who knows what he might be able to do once he does have that. I think that's also something that he kind of said in his post-match, which was, imagine what we could do if we had all of our players available, kind of thing, which I think is a fair point to make. And it's definitely a fair question to make as well. Very, very quickly, I also wanted to acknowledge the superbly observed minute silence pre-match after what happened in the Birmingham or before the Birmingham City game. I think that showed, not just by, from us, but from football fans in general, that, people are respectful and they do know to be that. And also, I kind of want, because we didn't talk about it at all last week, because I felt like maybe let's just not mention it. It will be safer and it will just be easier to do so. There's been a lot of talk about what actually happened and what caused it, etc. Don't know about you guys, but I mean, I've seen the so-called video evidence and the pictures of fans and stuff that allegedly were the instigators of it all. And I can't help but feel like it was all really blown out, massively out of proportion, mainly by people that were telling the people that were making the noise to be quiet. And actually, if people had just kept themselves quiet and been respectful themselves, then this wouldn't have blown up in the way that it did last week. There was... I fail to understand how, anybody thinks that was done on purpose last week, especially after we then had what happened on Saturday, which was impeccable. Just silence throughout and really good. Plus, I'd also like to mention the fact that it was very good to see an actual bugler playing the last post in against Blackpool at the Blackpool game. I've seen... We've had cornet players in every other game that I've seen has had the last post played. So it was nice to see an actual bugle.
What was the bugler's name, Charles?
I don't know. Mr. Bugle.
Oh, Mr. Bugle.
Or Sergeant Bugle, maybe.
Sergeant.
Omar Bugle.
Oh,
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Should we get some 3-word reviews to finish off this chat? So Danny can get on to what he really wants to talk about on this pod. Didn't see it, said the All Cobbler, which is a good start to any 3-word review.
Excellent.
I enjoyed that. That was great. I enjoyed that one. It's one of my favourite ones of the season. Good. Was it Arsene Wenger, that one?
Patrick Payne went with strength, unity and passion. Or sorry, strength, unity, passion. I added.
You could abbreviate that to SUP.
You could. Squad being galvanised, said Billsy. Illuminations were good, said Yest.
Yeah,
there was a lovely picture on our Patreon Slack channel this week of Yest with his family.
Illuminated.
Illuminations. It was lovely. Tangerine Dream Point, said Tim Stibbards. Good away point, said Rob Duncan. Rob Duncan, by the way, decided to go clay pigeon shooting rather than actually watching the match. Clay pigeon shooting.
Did he go to Blackpool for it? Or?
No, he didn't.
Oh.
Shocking. Tim Head, both lacked creativity. Rodney Marshall said that will do. Guthrie was immense, said Rob Sapwell. Seats were orange, said Adi Gray. Not tangerine then, Adi, no. Happy and frustrated, said Adrian Barnett. Guthrie deserves recognition, said Tom Foster. Mark Josiah went with Ioma, outstanding tackle, and then put an eggplant emoji next to it.
Mark Josiah needs to spend more time watching the game.
Adcolt86 said point towards safety. Ian King, solid away performance. DJP, towering John Guthrie. Sir Pennies went with Sowerby's knee knackered and an unhappy emoji.
True. Very true.
Good away point, said Hornet Cobbler. Should have won, said Dave. MK Cobbler went with I enjoyed it. I mean, okay. Each to their own. Matt Bass said Sowerby, strictly seaside. I'm guessing he was struggling for another S, so he stuck Sowerby in.
Yeah.
Essex Cobbler, a point closer. Injury curse continues, says Gareth. Strictly no goal scoring, said Ashley Hardy. Ground it out, said Beresfa. Not very illuminating, said Mrs. Perry.
Nice.
I enjoyed that one. Points a point, said Tom Payne. Adam Treen, Shoe Shane worries me.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah. John O'Marston said one to forget. Rachel Johnson went with Charles on TV.
There you go, rubbing his hands together.
I
Yeah,
was
it was.
rubbing my hands today. James Bailey
just
went
as a side note to that, Charles, sorry, before we move on. Can you just tell us a bit about what the weather was like?
It was cold, mate.
Okay,
it was very cold.
Just to clarify, thanks.
Yes, it was. James Bailey went with Tangerines tangoed today.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I'm not sure, though, because it's not like we won.
He's talking about Strictly.
Is he?
Tangos.
Yeah.
He did tango, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. I don't watch Strictly.
It's a dance. It's culture, you know, the jive, tango,
The American
the worm.
Smooth.
The worm.
I reckon Guthers would be great on Strictly.
Yes, he would, wouldn't he?
Yeah, lovely little smooth dancer would be, I think.
Fair enough. And Jack went with Big Boar Fest. Which I did enjoy.
That's 2 words, though, right? 2 words. Boarfest is a one-worder, isn't it?
Boarfest.
He's got another word to play with. I'd have Boarfest as one word, surely.
Oh, would you? Well, he's gone with it for 2, so I'll let him have it. That leads me on nicely to your one, Danny, which I did enjoy. Another Strictly reference in here. See if you can spot it, everyone. Craig Revel Borwood.
Yeah.
Hey.
There you go. Enjoyed that one. We haven't had one from Chris, though.
Oh, no.
To finish us
I'm
off.
worried about Chris.
I'm a bit worried. This is 2 episodes in a row where we've not had a 3-word review from Chris. So
we didn't have midweek, did we? We didn't have second goes through.
No, we should have done. I'm sure if he was able to, then he would have sent a tweet saying 16th stays up, which would have been lovely. Right, we'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk about a delightful win against some slugs.
Oh.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write a million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Welcome back to It's All Cobblers to Me. Oh, this bit's going to be amazingly good.
Hey.
You just know it's going to be brilliant. NTFC women, they travelled to Lincolnshire to play Peterborough United in Lincolnshire. Don't know why.
Born. How from Peterborough?
FAW National League. Top
Division
of the
1,
table clash this was, Danny, and you made the journey to Bourne.
Oh, a great journey it was as well. I'd never seen some of these little villages I went through on the way.
No?
It took a lot longer than I thought. I thought I'll go over to Peterborough. It'll only take an hour. Turns out it's going to Lincolnshire. But well worth it. It's one of them games that I was just, when you've got a feeling after a game, you just keep chanting Shoe Army all the way home in your head and out loud, actually, out the window. Scarf is out. Oh, I'm still buzzing now. It's only a few hours later. What a performance.
Did you have to go through Peterborough to get to Bourne?
Thankfully not.
So it's not like on the way back you were able to wind your window down as you were going past the cathedral and just shout Shoe Army at it.
No, I couldn't. No,
it's a shame.
No, the villagers of Toft were quite confused as I wandered through in my little car, shouting Shoe Army at the top of my voice. Thought, what is going on? But what an afternoon, Charles! What a bloody afternoon! Whenever you beat the Slugs and the Slugettes, it's great, isn't it? Particularly because Alan Swan was in attendance as well, apparently.
Was he really?
Yes, he was Slug. There. Chief Slug Swan, he was there. He gave us a lot of credit, to be fair, afterwards, Swanee.
Oh, did he?
So, yeah.
Good. About time.
Fine. But just a battle and a half for a local derby. And I think it makes it even better in the women's game because a lot of the players are local, right? And a lot of the players feel that intense rival nature of it, that it's all guns blazing. It's tackles flying in all over the place. We had bookings within the first couple of minutes. We had people flying in. We had arguments between players and our management team. It was lovely. Valerie, out of Gareth and Valerie fame, nearly started a fight on the sidelines. It was just one of those memorable afternoons. Just a brilliant.
Go on, Valerie. Come on, talk us through. What happened? Come on.
Well, so there's a couple of Slugs fans near us, and they'd just been moaning the entire game about some of our tackles and stuff like that. The first half, this was. And then one of their players did a bad foul, and Valerie, we all turned around and not really necessarily directing it at them, but be like, "Yeah, there we go, get that. You're doing it as well," kind of thing. I can't remember what exactly was said. And then one of them just turned around to Valerie and said, "You were looking at me when you said that." I thought there was going to be. I thought there was going to be a fight, and I backed Valerie. I always back Valerie in the fight.
Oh, you're always back Valerie.
Yes,
always. Yeah, without question.
I think it got a little bit friendlier second half, but I mean, on the
friendlier.
Pitch, yeah, I mean, it just died down a bit after that. After we took the lead, because they just
they knew they were done.
They knew they were done. They were. I was going to say Pete Dunn, but you wouldn't know who that was. Chris Dunn. Anyway,
Romeo Dunn, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just Susan Perb, Charles, all round. You can't. I don't think you can single anyone out, which is how good the team performance was. We stood up to the fight. We battled. We were completely on top of our game. Like every single player was on top of their game completely. Katie in goal, clean sheet, and a second half save that I really hope someone captured. I think the player was like 5 or 6 yards out. This was at 1-0 down, 1-0 up, sorry. Brilliant save with the feet. Scrambled it away as well. Katie McLean sheet. Love to see it. Paige Ridley at right back, outstanding. She's got a battle with this player called Katie Middleton constantly throughout. Not that one.
I did wonder.
Middleton was constantly bickering with our bench, and Paige just had her in her pocket for most of the game. She was brilliant. Bianca Lutman got booked really early on, so she was on the tightrope all game. But then after that, when you get booked, you kind of think, oh, you've got to be careful for the entire game after that. But after that, such a professional performance and brilliant Shoe Army shout at the end from her as well as she was coming off the pitch. Love to see that. Ruby Heselden at the back with her. I'm going through all of them, Charles, so just sit back. She's improved so much in the last year. Brilliant against them, mopping everything up at the back. Zoe Boot, someone you just want in the trenches with you in a derby, fighting so hard for the cause, as always. Layla Chanel, non-stop running up and down the right-hand side, creating everything, getting back with her pace as well. Faith Horner got booked in the first half. She had to go off, so she was sacrificed a little bit. The same kind of situation as B was. She was booked for quite I thought it was a great tackle, but she sent a posh player up in the air, which you always love to see. Nice. But I think that was to make sure she didn't get a second. She's in a position on the pitch where if you do get a second yellow card, it's going to be really hard to fill that gap. So sadly, she had to be sacrificed. It was still a massive part of it. Faye Noble, usual consistent self in the middle, got really, really stuck in as ever, and she won the penalty in the first half by breaking through. Amber Pearson, great starting point of the attacks. So much energy in there as well from her. Kim Farrow is exactly who you want in a derby up there. She's not going to give the posh defenders a second. She was fighting for everything, linking up so well with Jade. And Jade's just 2 typical goals for her to win it and to write her name into Cobblers folklore. And I don't know at this point, which has got 19 goals so far, what more can we say about it? It's ridiculous. 19 goals is not even Christmas. So consistent in front of goal when you put her through. And her and Kim were just linked up so well. Subs as well. Georgia Gale taking over from Faith in the first half, got really stuck in there. Alex Mills came on for the last 10 minutes to help us see out the game. Jemima footed it really well, kept calm, gave us an outlet up there, up top, and assisted Jade for the second, and then Ellie Aston came on for the last few minutes as well to play her part. And like I say, just a huge team performance, squad performance, management team. All of them should be so proud. They've made us so proud all season, but especially that's the pinnacle so far. That type of performance. And I say it every week. I say it constantly throughout the season. If you haven't got down there to see them, go get down to the Furnabell. I think it's 2 weeks' time we play Leafield in another top of the table game. This team and this management team just does us proud every single week. And if you want to see gritty, proper football, played with heart, played with passion, get down to see them. They're top of the league now as well with that win, going above the Sluggettes to get to the top. Leafield, I think, are in second or third themselves. That's going to be a huge... Posher third. Never mind. Sorry. That's the 8th of December. If we can get a big crowd down there for that, that's going to be a huge game, and that will take us to the halfway point in the league. And I think we can genuinely say we're in a title race now, which is so exciting. I'm just buzzing from it today, and everyone should be so proud of them. To get on down there, it's brilliant.
You have forgot one major thing, Danny.
John?
No, not John Major. God rest his soul.
He's not dead, is he?
He's not dead.
Is he not?
No.
John Major's not, no. In a political
sense. 100. Well, he's been dead a long time in a political sense. You forgot to finish your beautiful, may I say, beautiful recap of the game and the situation for them at the minute. You forgot to finish it with fuck the posh.
Yes, sorry, I was waiting for someone else to do that.
Yeah.
But he's not here.
Incredible. You've inspired me. I'll get to the next game.
Oh, it's genuinely so much fun. And you get to stand next to the other fans as well, especially in the derby. We had a great following as well, a great little patch in the stand, a couple of us standing up as well, friends and family there. And after the game, the fans staying around to clap them off the pitch as well after they're warmed down. It was just a brilliant atmosphere. So good. But yeah, well, I think me and Matt are going to record an NTFC Women's show this week to talk more about that, so we can be gushing even more about that.
Brilliant.
So good.
Absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I am so happy. I'm thrilled. And
get us up there.
It's another clean sheet, of course, for our very own Katie McLean, our sponsored player, which is just brilliant. It's been an absolutely superb few weeks, really, for NTFC Women, top of the table. It's absolutely brilliant. Just want to say one thing, actually. And I know Chief, apart from that, I know we call him Chief Slug, but it's quite good to see that, someone like Alan Swan was at the game to actually do a match report. And stuff. It's about time. It's about time that the Northamptonshire press started doing the same thing and going to Cobblers games and writing match reports on it. I know that James Hennigan will be retweeting it.
Henners, get down there.
Come on, get down there and give them...
Get off that golf course, Henners, and get down there.
I mean, I'll do it for you, Henners, if you want me to. Slip me a $5, I'll do it.
There you go. You just said you'll do it free, and then you went, give me a $5.
Yeah, I know travel costs.
$5 per word.
Yeah. 3-word review coming up.
Anyway, absolutely superb. Thank you so much,
Susan Perb,
making our weekend. That is absolutely brilliant. And yes, fuck the fucking posh.
Get out.
Love it.
Tackle the NFL action on FanDuel. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Virginia. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Whole Foods Market has Thanksgiving gatherings covered. First things first, reserve your no antibiotics ever fresh whole turkey today, starting at $2.99 a pound. Or go with their organic spiral cut bone-in ham, full of seared-in flavor. For sides, choose Whole Foods Market grab-and-go platters. Go even further and get your whole meal catered. Just order online by November 26th. Get Thanksgiving ready at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
Post-bag time.
Post it.
We've got some post. Danny. Neil, have you got the post in front of you? Or
No, the NFL's just started, so no, I haven't.
No, you haven't. Danny, dip into Neil's postbag, give it a good rummage and see what you can find.
Get your hand right down there.
What the bloody hell's that in there? That out there.
Surprised you can find anything.
Neil, you're not going to like this.
Oh, no.
Guess who this is from?
It's not Melly, is it?
It's Melly.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Go on.
He says, Dear Neil /panel.
Oh.
I know the panel.
Panel.
Yeah.
What does he want? What does he suck it up to us? What does he want?
He says, Dear Neil /panel, we have now won 2, drawn 3 and lost 1 out of the last 6 league games. The 3 draws were at Birmingham, Stockport and Blackpool away. Thank you, Melly. And all have been in spite of the horrendous injury situation. In light of this, what are your thoughts now on the Brady out /used up credit /lost the dressing room comments from the fan base of late, and have any opinions supporting that view that you may have had changed? Hola, Melbourne. Listen to me and you won't go far wrong, Cobbler.
Thinks a lot of himself, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, that's why he was sucking up, right?
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing, didn't he?
He knew what he was doing. I think it's fair to give credit when credit's due, and fair to criticise when criticism is due. I still don't think he has much credit in the bank. I think he's post Kettering and post a couple of the other results earlier in the season, he's still lost a bit of credit and stuff. He's done a very good job, certainly the last couple of games, to pull a few draws out of a hat, if you will. So I think he deserves credit for that. I think you'd be a moron if you were one of those people that is, no matter what happens, Brady out, or no matter what happens, Brady in. I think you have to accept that, especially in the emotional world of football and a results-driven business, that the general swell of feeling will ebb and flow.
Swell.
I still don't really think I look at it as having credit in the bank. I don't mean that in a negative way in terms of I just go, oh no, it's empty or anything like that. I just don't tend to really think of anything before this season, really. I judge it on how it's going now. And I think that's the right thing to do, because last season has been and gone. You can't do anything about that now. So I suppose I sort of judge. I don't necessarily judge John Brady as such. I just judge the football club. I judge the team as on how they're doing now. You know, there's different players than there was last season, and I think it would be, in a way, a bit unfair to kind of judge it against that, and therefore turning around and just going, oh well, you know, I've got to think of all the credit that, you know, that he's got in the bank from the last couple of years. I just kind of just go, this season is what counts, and therefore I don't really look at it. You know, look, I'm still annoyed about the Kettering defeat. I still think that was just wrong, shouldn't have happened. But as you say, Neil, you've got to give credit right now, because what with the whole context around what's gone on with the, you know, the unavailability of lots of players, you know, John Brady is getting results out of this team. And, you know, we have still not been in the relegation zone. So, you know, credit in the bank, no, but he's definitely in the positive when it comes to credit at the moment. His one blight has been that Kettering match for me.
Yeah, I think there's a part of me that I'm never going to change my opinion based on some of the things he says and does that I don't agree with, and I never will. Like, he just grates on me. Some of the stuff he says doesn't mean he doesn't deserve credit. Sorry, Danny.
So, sack. Do you want the next sack item?
I wondered where you were going then.
Wow. I thought you were making a statement.
Danny.
Oh, sorry.
Write a blog.
I just got my pen out and everything as well. No, not sack. Male sack. Neil's sack. More sack.
Ball. No.
Back, sack, and crack. The next. Why am I making a massive deal of this? Just move on. Next item. Next letter. That's what.
Danny, are you okay?
How long does it take to
You're
get
right,
from one
mate.
letter to another?
Someone check in on Danny.
Melly's letter was... Oh, no, I can't do that. Heidi Green says, Dear Neil, I was enlightened by Charles yesterday
Blimey.
to something that's very annoying and gets our goat. And she's used an emoji goat, which I enjoyed.
Ooh.
I didn't notice until yesterday that Mr. Hoskins is a little bit of a litter tout. Twice he threw things on the pitch, and as Charles said, it's very annoying. And he said he does it on the regular. I assume that's Charles is saying he does it on the regular. What does Neil think about this?
I assume it's tape. Tape, is it? I assume it's a bit of tape.
Tape and gels. Tape and gels. Empty gels.
I mean, in the midst of a football match, he probably hasn't really got time to run and find a bin.
Where's the recycling?
Yeah. So I don't think I get it, I understand it. Nobody likes a litter bug, do they? I think you have to give them a little bit of a let off if they're on the football pitch, because what would we do if Hoskins suddenly ran off the pitch while the game was going on and the opposition scored? Where's Sam gone? It's all right, he's put his tape in the bin.
Yeah.
I mean, they've scored those, Sam. So I get it. I understand it. There's not much they can do, right?
Surely it's not just Sam, is it?
No, of course it's not.
It's not.
Every football game you watch, they're all doing it, and they don't really have much choice.
Yeah. I mean, look. I mean, it shows you how entertaining this game was that I had a conversation about this. And it
Were
was
you rubbing
actually,
your hands at the same time?
It was actually when Sam got subbed off. His
weird.
number went
Oh, that's different.
Hold on a minute. That's
yeah,
different.
so his
It's
number
on its
went
way
up,
off.
and he immediately unwrapped the tape. You know, he wears tape around his wrist. I'm presuming that this is a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Superstitious. Yeah.
No, it's because he can't afford like wristbands for like sweat wristbands, so he just has to use tape.
Well, that can't be very nice against your forehead, can it?
No, but you know what Sammy's like. He doesn't care.
Hard as nails is Sam.
Yeah.
Washes with sandpaper.
That's different for me. If he's throwing it away when he's on his way off the pitch already, irresponsible.
His number went up on the board to go off, and he starts unraveling his tape, and then he drops it on the floor.
No, see, that's not all right with me. He's on his way off the pitch. He's just making the pitch worse for everyone else.
What I'd like to see next time is Brady send him back on with one of them little grabbers. Go on, Sam.
Litter picker, yeah.
I mean, there might be. I mean, because this is the thing, we don't know. Because obviously, when the full-time whistle blows, you tend to clap the players as they go, come over to you. But then when they go off the pitch, you leave the stadium, right? Not many people will stay there and watch nothing happening. Could well be a case that somebody actually goes around immediately after the game and starts picking up all that rubbish. Might be a bit like when you're in a marathon or something like that, where it's pretty much an okay thing to do, which is to take your water off of the water stand and then drink it and then throw it on the floor, because it's going to get cleared up, because that's part of the deal of the race, is that they will have cleanup crews. So
I'll be honest, I think it's a little bit of a nonsense. It does show how boring the game must have been for you.
It does. It does.
Yeah, Sam put it in the bin. He wouldn't have been thinking about it. He's probably annoyed he's been subbed off. He's not thinking. Do you know what I mean? Like, there will be people that will, right, which doesn't make it fine to litter, obviously, but there will be someone that will pick it up.
Yeah, would have thought so.
So what you could say is Sam's helping keep them in a job.
Good way of looking at it. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant.
That's it.
Any more post in Neil's sack, Danny?
I think Heidi noticed something else just a minute ago on the slacks. I might be able to find it.
We had a conversation about shin pads.
That's it. That was it. Shin pads. You wanted to know Neil's thoughts on the tiny little shin pads.
Oh, right. I have got thoughts on it.
Yeah. Do your kids still wear proper shin pads like I would have used to have worn, that sort of were really big and
Charles,
covered
you wore
your whole
cricket
shin?
pads.
Oh, not that big.
Yes, and that's why I've got thoughts on it.
Okay.
So they do. So the under 15 lads will all wear these tiny. They're not. You can barely call them shin pads. What I will say, I don't really like it because I was brought up like you, Charles. Had these proper shin pads. The sock ones that you put your foot into, and then
that had ankle protection.
Ankles protection as well. Yeah. What I will say is the trend has gone on for a while, and there hasn't really been any more shin injuries, if you will, has there?
No. No.
Like, I know there's been injuries of late, and we've just talked about it earlier in the podcast, but shin pads do very little. Very little. The way the game is now as well, back in the day when Graham Souness was tackling you, yeah, you needed shin pads. The way the game is now and stuff, they do very little, so I don't really... I would still be like you, Charles. I'd have my proper ones on. But that's because we're old school. We'd have black boots, we'd have our proper shin pads on, we'd have our shirt tucked in.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have no Bose headphones or anything like that.
No.
I was always
Little
a
shin pads.
shirt out player. I always had shirt out when I played.
Too much flair for me, that, Danny.
That's his type of player.
Pinpointed.
Yeah. Melly's waded in, by the way, now.
Oh, of course he has.
Yeah. He says
They have
Neil.
shin pads in Australia.
Melly's got 8 on his legs. Melly says Neil wears one himself, but only since the court case. Hence his name in the village of Cinderella. He has to be home before the tag strikes 7.
Yeah, Melly.
Brilliant.
Do you know? I know where he lives.
That's it. That's definitely the empty sack now. End of the sack.
Sack emptied. Brilliant. Lovely stuff. Have we got time for a game of Burge mentality, Neil?
We could have a game of Burge mentality if you want to end on a Burgie.
Burge had a fantastic game, by the way, on Saturday.
He did. No one's
even came and claimed the cross.
That save. No one's made it yet.
Brilliant. Brilliant save.
Oh, incredible. Right, we've got...
Burge.
Right, you're going to like it. Well, you're not going to like it, but it's obviously going to be NFL related as I'm watching it as we chat. So, the Northampton Shoe Whackers have made it to the Super Bowl. The Shoe Whackers have made it to the Super Bowl. No, they're the Shoe Whackers, Danny, all right?
What was the? Do you remember when David Cardoza wanted to create an NFL, American football team? What was it? Rugby league? I can't remember.
Rugby league, wasn't it?
Yeah. What was the name of the team? Because they put it to a vote, didn't they? Do you remember? Anyone remember what the name of that team was?
I can confirm Shoe Whackers wasn't one of the options.
It definitely should have been, though. Shoe Whackers would have been incredible.
So the Shoe Whackers have made it to the Super Bowl.
Brilliant. Well done.
Well done. The score is tied.
400 injuries each.
20-20. There's 1 second to go. And the Shoe Whackers have a field goal attempt from 50 yards.
Ooh.
Which current member of the Cobblers team are you trusting to put that field goal through the posts and win the Super Bowl for the Shoe Whackers?
I've got the name of it, by the way.
Squad.
Northampton Rebels was going to be the...
No wonder it never got off the ground. Shit name.
Right. Well, I know who it's not, and that's the name of the person who's this game is named after. Because it just...
I've got to pick my answer.
I'm trying to think. There's not like we haven't got like a striker, have we? That consistently blazes it over the bar every shot he has.
No,
if we did that and make it easy. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm just.
I've got mine.
Controversial, but
got mine. Okay. I think mine might be.
I've got mine.
Oh yeah,
I'm ready.
Charles, you can go first.
Okay. I've gone with little Sammy Hoskins.
Oh,
always Mr. Reliable.
Trusting him to reach from 50 yards.
Yeah, Mr. Reliable. I reckon he could do it.
Danny?
Mitchinald Pinnock.
Oh, good shout.
Oh, he'd put some swaz on it, wouldn't he?
Oh, he would. Swaz it right in there.
And whoever was going to be behind the posts waiting to catch the ball would definitely drop it into the back of a net.
I actually went for Jack Sowerby.
Oh,
I thought calm. You need someone calm in that situation. There's a second to go.
Yeah.
He'd do his little sidestep crab move.
Yeah. Okay.
Like Johnny Wilkinson used to do in rugby.
Yeah.
And then straight over. But the bad news is no points.
No points.
No points.
No points at all. That's twice you've mentioned rugby today this week.
Jeffy's written in, by the way, just in case.
Oh, has she?
Yeah.
Got an answer. She's gone with David Savage.
Oh.
So no points.
Incredible. Lovely stuff. That's it for this week. Thank you both for joining me, and thank you for listening. Coming up this week, we'll have an NTFC women's show, I believe.
Yes.
Danny will be sitting down with Matt Salmons from the NTFC women media team to probably just gush, as Danny would say, all over that win against the Slugettes. And then on Friday, we'll be back with the preview show, and we'll have a Cambridge fan to come and talk to us all about how much we all hate Peterborough. Plus, Patreon members will get the latest episode of the League One Lounge, where Danny and I will be digesting everything else that's happened in League One this weekend. Not much, by the way.
It's not a lot.
If you've looked at the results. A lot of sweeping under the carpet, I fear. To hear that, become a member of our Patreon on a 7-day free trial at patreon.com/cobblers to me. Have a great week. And up the ruddy Cobblers. Goodbye.
Up, have that, you slugs.
Way! There's the cup. There's the pictures you'll see on tomorrow's back pages. The Cobblers are going through into Division 1. Bring them on, because we deserve it.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
HBCUs, they're more than just schools, right? They're where we learn, grow, and build. It's a place where we're free to be ourselves, innovate, and live our best lives while chasing those dreams, and yes, securing that bag. But the journey to success is not always easy. That's why Walmart is here for you every step of the way. From late night study sessions to game day celebration, Walmart's got your back, helping you manifest those big, audacious dreams. Whether you're starting a business, climbing the career ladder, or figuring it all out, Walmart is here supporting Black excellence at HBCUs. At the end of the day, your hustle, your creativity, and your journey matter. Walmart, we're all about empowering you with the spark to keep pushing forward. So let's get to it together. Learn more about how we are amplifying your story at walmart.com/Black and Unlimited. It's your journey, and we're proud to be a part of it.